He formed the band, he chose the music, he was the musician in the group. Bill Wyman on Brian Jones. Brian Jones, the man who birthed one of rock and roll's most iconic bands, often finds himself relegated to the shadows. Overshadowed by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, Jones's story is a tragic tale of talent and turmoil. Few realize the extent to which Brian Jones infused the band with these elements. He was their original leader, a musical prodigy with a restless spirit. This volatility contributed to his creative genius and downfall. Recognizing the profound impact he had on music and the enduring enigma that he remains. Cheltenham, a seemingly ordinary town in Gloucestershire, England, became the unlikely birthplace of a musical revolution. Here, Lewis Brian Hopkins Jones first picked up a guitar. Music became his escape and destiny. Jones displayed a natural affinity for music. He mastered the guitar, harmonica, and other instruments. His taste gravitated towards American blues. London's rhythm and blues scene was perfect for Jones. He immersed himself in its raw emotion. Amidst smoky clubs, the Rolling Stones were born. Jones and Ian Stewart brought together like-minded musicians. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards joined, and the Rolling Stones were born. The early Rolling Stones were a far cry from the stadium-filling behemoth they would become. Their early gigs were confined to dingy pubs and clubs, their repertoire consisting largely of blues covers. But even in these early days, the raw energy and undeniable talent were evident. Brian Jones, with his mastery of the slide guitar and his charismatic stage presence, was the initial focal point of the band. As the band's popularity grew, so too did their ambition. Hits like I Can't Get No Satisfaction catapulted them to international stardom. As the Rolling Stones' star ascended, the pressures of fame began to take their toll on Brian Jones. The once carefree musician who reveled in the camaraderie of the band's early days found himself increasingly isolated and adrift. The dynamics within the band were shifting. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, fueled by their songwriting partnership and their shared ambition, began to assert their dominance. Jones, once the undisputed leader, found himself increasingly sidelined. This shift in power coincided with a period of personal turmoil for Jones. His relationships became increasingly volatile, his behavior erratic. He struggled with substance abuse, seeking solace in drugs and alcohol as a means of coping with the pressures of fame and his own inner demons. The music that had once been his refuge now seemed to amplify his anxieties. His performances became increasingly erratic, his once sharp guitar playing losing its edge. The very thing that had brought him joy now seemed to be slipping through his fingers. The creative tensions that had always simmered within the Rolling Stones began to boil over as Brian Jones's personal struggles intensified. Clashes between Jones and his bandmates, particularly Mick Jagger, became more frequent and increasingly acrimonious. Jagger, with his sharp wit and growing confidence, seemed to relish in needling Jones, highlighting his insecurities and undermining his authority within the band. Richards, once Jones's closest confidant, seemed to side with Jagger, their songwriting partnership solidifying their dominance within the group. The once unbreakable bond between the band members began to fray. Jones, increasingly isolated and disillusioned, withdrew further into himself, seeking solace in drugs and alcohol. His once vibrant personality became shrouded in a haze of paranoia and self-destruction. The recording sessions for their albums, once filled with creative energy and camaraderie, became fraught with tension. Jones's contributions became increasingly sporadic as his substance abuse took its toll on his health and his musical abilities. By 1967, Brian Jones's decline was becoming increasingly apparent. His once angelic features were now gaunt and drawn, his once piercing blue eyes clouded by a haze of substance abuse. His once immaculate attire, a trademark of his early days, was replaced by a disheveled appearance that reflected his inner turmoil. His erratic behavior and unreliability began to affect the band's ability to function. He would often miss recording sessions or show up under the influence, rendering him unable to contribute musically. The once essential guitarist was now becoming a liability. His bandmates, once tolerant of his excesses, were growing increasingly impatient. Jagger in particular seemed to have lost all patience with Jones, his frustration palpable in interviews and on stage. The end, it seemed, was inevitable. The final straw came in June 1969 when Jones was arrested for drug possession for the second time in a year. Facing a lengthy prison sentence and with his relationship with the band at an all-time low, Jones was given an ultimatum: clean up his act or leave the band. The announcement of Brian Jones's departure from the Rolling Stones on June 9, 1969, sent shockwaves through the music world. Although his decline had been evident, the news still came as a blow to many fans. The band cited musical differences, but his personal demons played a significant role. Jones, once the driving force, was now out in the cold, his legacy tarnished. He had shaped their sound and propelled them to stardom. Despite his departure, Jones seemed determined to prove himself. He spoke of forming a new band and rediscovering the joy of music. Tragically, he would never get the chance. Just a few weeks after his departure from the Rolling Stones, on July 3, 1969, Brian Jones was found dead in the swimming pool at his Sussex home. He was just 27 years old. His death sent shockwaves through the music world, leaving fans and fellow musicians alike in mourning. The circumstances surrounding Jones's death remain shrouded in mystery and controversy to this day. The official coroner's report ruled his death as a misadventure, citing death by misadventure, indicating drowning due to intoxication. However, many unanswered questions and inconsistencies in the evidence have fueled speculation and conspiracy theories for decades. Some believe that Jones's death was not an accident, pointing to suspicious circumstances and alleged foul play. Others maintain that his death was a tragic accident, a consequence of his reckless lifestyle and his ongoing struggles with addiction. Adding to the intrigue, key witnesses changed their stories over time, and crucial evidence seemed to vanish. The lack of a thorough investigation at the time has only served to deepen the mystery. Despite numerous investigations and documentaries, the truth behind Brian Jones's untimely death remains elusive. In the wake of his death, Brian Jones's legacy has often been overshadowed by the enduring success of the Rolling Stones. While Jagger and Richards became global icons, synonymous with rock and roll itself, Jones's contributions have often been relegated to footnotes and passing mentions. This is perhaps the greatest irony of Jones's story. He was the one who brought the Rolling Stones together, who nurtured their early sound, who possessed the musical vision that set them on their path to superstardom. Yet he is often remembered as a tragic footnote, a cautionary tale of the perils of fame and addiction. However, in recent years there has been a growing movement to reappraise Jones's legacy and acknowledge his pivotal role in shaping the sound of the Rolling Stones. Documentaries, books, and tribute concerts have shone a light on his musical genius and his enduring influence. It is a testament to his talent that his music continues to resonate with new generations of fans. His slide guitar work on songs like Little Red Rooster and No Expectations remains iconic. His musical contributions to the Rolling Stones' early albums undeniable. Over the years, there have been numerous tributes to Brian Jones, both from his former bandmates and from the wider music community. The Rolling Stones themselves have acknowledged his importance on several occasions, dedicating songs to his memory and speaking fondly of his talent in interviews. In 1989, the Rolling Stones, along with a host of other artists, were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. During their acceptance speech, Mick Jagger paid tribute to Jones, acknowledging his role in the band's formation and their early success. Beyond official recognitions, Jones's legacy lives on through his music and the enduring fascination with his life and death. Fans continue to visit his grave in Cheltenham, leaving flowers and mementos in tribute to the fallen musician. There have also been several documentaries and films that have attempted to unravel the mystery surrounding Jones's death and to shed light on his often overlooked contributions to music. These films have helped to introduce a new generation to Jones's talent and to reframe the narrative surrounding his life and legacy. Brian Jones remains an enigma, a brilliant but troubled soul whose life was cut tragically short. He was a musical visionary, a gifted multi-instrumentalist, and a charismatic performer who helped to shape the sound of rock and roll. While his legacy may have been overshadowed by the enduring success of the Rolling Stones, his contributions to the band's early sound are undeniable. He was the one who brought them together, who nurtured their shared love of the blues, and who pushed them to achieve greatness. His story is a reminder of the human cost of fame and the dangers of addiction. It is also a testament to the power of music and the enduring legacy of a talented artist who left an indelible mark on the world. Brian Jones may be gone, but his music and his spirit live on. He remains an inspiration to musicians and a source of fascination for fans around the world. His story, though tragic, is ultimately one of creativity, passion, and the enduring power of rock and roll.